Well, good afternoon and welcome to another live iThemes training event. My name is Nathan Ingram. I am the host here at iThemes Training, and it is the Plugin Roundup for March 2022 here on iThemes Training. Every month we take a look at the plugins that have been newly added to or recently updated in the WordPress plugin directory, and get a list of a dozen or so that look interesting to us. And especially for those of us who are working with clients to build WordPress sites. So if you're just joining us in GoToWebinar, make sure you are over in the chat room at iThemes.com/chat, iThemes.com/chat. Therein, you will find the link to today's handout, which is there's the Google Drive link. You can download this that you are looking at on your screen at the moment and have it to follow along with and click the links and all those things. All right, so shall we begin? We're going to start off today with a plugin that I mentioned back during the WordPress news roundup from last month. How many of you remember the Clarity plugin? It sparked an interesting little rabbit trail on is it good to block ads in the WordPress dashboard? Now, clearly, we all have this issue of some plugins just littering the admin area of the WordPress, of our WordPress with all sorts of ads and upgrade notices and all sorts of things, right? So you install a free plugin and you get all this ad garbage all over the place. And there's a lot of talk about that. It's certainly not a new issue in WordPress. I remember talking about this, 10 years ago we were talking about this in the WordPress space. And, I understand, it litters up our admin area, but on the other hand, also, it's a free plugin. What do you expect? These developers need to make money as well, and they do that by upselling their free plugin to a pro plugin or other things, right? So it's a complicated issue. It's not just as simple as get your ads out of my admin. And they could say, well, get your free plugin out of your WordPress, right? So it's a complicated subject. And all that was that debate was sparked by this plugin that got a little bit of traction from a WP Tavern article called Clarity. Now, I promised a deeper dive into this plugin because it was really new. As I recall, that news item had just come out right as we were getting ready to publish the WordPress News Roundup. And I really didn't have time to get into the plugin and take a look. Well, I have, and let's talk about it just a little bit because I applaud the developers' effort to try to solve this problem, right? It's an ongoing issue. It seems to keep getting worse with free plugins, just putting ads all over the place to upgrade. Now, here's the problem. This is not the way to do it. I have come to the conclusion that I will not install Clarity because this is just not the way to handle blocking ads in WordPress, and I thought you might be interested in why. So let's take a look. So I did a deeper dive, and what they show here, actually, if we go to the plugin page, they give a little bit of explanation about, it's okay. You can create an issue to ask for a plugin to be supported in this. If you activate Clarity, chances are the plugins that you're having problems with are not going to be blocked. That's because of the way Clarity approaches blocking. So there is an official block list that you can report a plugin to, and then, they'll add to the block list. But here's what it looks like. It's actually, let me not use the same tab. Just a minute. Here we go. All right. So this is the block list. And if you know even just a teeny little bit about WordPress and CSS and those sorts of things, at the top here we have Yoast Premium Nags. Now, Yoast is one that, they put ads all over the place. It's a great plugin. You get a lot for free, but they definitely litter the admin with ads, right? Okay, so look what they're doing. Number one, plugins have to be manually added to this block list. So it doesn't just block all the things. It's like you have to add, or the developer has to add in every single individual plugin. Right away, that tells me this is probably not going to be totally sustainable, right? Can you imagine all the, good grief, all the plugins that are going to have to be added to this? Second of all, look how they're doing it. So it's the class or, the CSS targeting of the the container of whatever the ad is in. So even if a plugin gets added to the do not show list, which has to happen manually by the developer, all the plugin has to do is change the class, and it's going to start showing the ads again. So, this is I appreciate it. I really do. But this is not the way to handle this whole process. So currently, I actually counted the number of plugins. There's 36 plugins in this list, some of which aren't even in the WordPress plugin directory anymore. So this has been a project that's been going on for a while. Anyway, yeah, this is not the way to handle blocking of ads. And we talked in the WordPress News Roundup last month about a project. Was it WP Notify? I forget what it's called, but there's a project, a feature plugin that they're starting to work on to really, at a core level, set some standards and block plugins that violate that standard of how and when notifications and ads can be shown in the WordPress admin. So there you have it. WP Notify, great effort, good thought behind it. Probably not the right way to execute it, and it's not what I'm going to be installing anytime soon. So with that being said, any further questions or comments about this one, aside from all of the ire that I see in the chat about plugins dropping ads everywhere? Yeah. Okay. So that was clarity. Let's move on down the list, shall we? To the next one, which is Simple Wall by Sébastien SERRE. Simple Wall. So how many of you have ever added the Facebook page plugin to a WordPress site? Now, this is the thing that will drop in the Facebook branded live view of how many people are on a page, and even you have the option to show the last posts from the Facebook page. How many of you have you ever used that? Like, it's out there. You can just Google it, and there's code that you put in the page name, and it gives you a little code snippet, and you drop that in, and it live previews the page right there on your website. So you can do that. It's great. It totally works. Here is a simpler way to do it in WordPress. So here, by the way, here is the page plugin. If you've never used it, it's super easy to do. You just drop in the URL of the Facebook page. I'm not sure why that's pre-filled. How do you want it to look? What's the width and height? And then you have some options to further deal with how this stuff is shown. So this is Simple Wall. And let me move mics and screens. I can't really see my screen, which is counterproductive to demonstrating a plugin. Simple Wall. All right. So now it is active. And basically what this is going to do, it allows you to have a block or by shortcode dropping the Facebook page widget right there on the page. So essentially, if you know anything about code, all it's doing is enqueuing the JavaScript that's necessary and just make it a little easier. But it's great. I mean, it's an easy way to do this. So let's just go to a page and drop this in with a shortcode first to show you what that's like. And I'm actually going to keep that because we'll use that again in a minute. So shortcode. All right, Simple Wall. Now we need the slug, and the slug is like if your page name is facebook.com/iThemes, which is the iThemes Facebook page, the slug is iThemes. So you just drop that in here, update the page, and view. And right there it is. Look at that. So it's showing, it appears to be in French, so we'll need to deal with that. But yeah, there it is. So, if you have a lot of Facebook activity and you want to drop that on your website as a way to encourage people to move over, move over and like your Facebook page, that's a good thing. It's really easy to do. Now, this also comes as a block, and it also works very nicely. Simple Wall. And you just drop in the URL in this case. And that's it. Facebook page is going to show up. So we update, view the page. There it is. So that is a simple wall, very simple way to drop in a Facebook page right there on your WordPress site. Questions or comments on that one? Okay, next one down the list is a really helpful plugin if you're trying to design a user experience where you need a login box on your page. Now, this is also super helpful if you're using the block editor, for example, or even if you are not. Yeah, so this works with shortcode or a block. More and more plugins are doing both now, which is kind of to be expected. The shortcode ultimately is going away in WordPress in favor of blocks. So this MyWP login form from Agence Whodunit lets you drop in a very simple WordPress login block right here on your page. So let me go and grab and activate this plugin. MyWP login form. Everything's running slow today. So there's my login form, and right there. Once I have that open, I have the ability to make some settings changes. So do I want it to be side by side or vertical? Now we're using the block here. It works just the same with the shortcode. You also have the ability to do some redirects, change what you want the labels to be on all of this, and that works really well. You can do the same thing again with the shortcode right here. And it works really well just to put a very simple login blocks. Now, you can use this in a page builder. You can use this in the block editor. You can design a page around this. Really, really helpful. Let's see. Sue's asking, so after logging in, what happens? Well, that is a very good question here. So you can, look at there, redirect the URL. So if it needs to go to a members page, you can do wpnathan.com/members and have it redirect upon login. Super helpful. Creeker Geek, why would you want to use this instead of a specific form like Gravity or WP Forms? Well, that's a great question. So Gravity Forms doesn't have a login form. It has you can make a Gravity form into a user registration form, but this is just like to log into your website. So instead of having to go to WP Login PHP or WP Admin or wherever you go typically to log into your website, this would put it on the front of a page. So for example, here's a member site that has a little login block right there, right? So you go over here, you need to sign in. It's going to drop in your sign in right there on, like this on a member's site. So it just to be able to actually put it in page content and make it easier is the purpose of this. Any other questions I missed along the way? So MyWP login form, really handy, very simple. It doesn't have a lot of options for styling. You can, of course, put that inside of a row block and put pretty pictures and colors and whatever you want with that. The block itself doesn't have a lot of styling, and the shortcode is bare basics, but it gets you that login block. It's fast, it's light, it works really, really well. Sue says, so it doesn't do things like assign a role and expects that we'd tell those who want to join. Yeah, so this is not for signing up, right? This is a front-end login form. So if you're a member, you can use this to log in, right? Otherwise, you can sign up. That'd be a different button or something. Melanie, yes, exactly. So let's say you wanted to make a modal. Like you have a button that launches a modal. You could drop this block or shortcode into that modal as a super simple login. Yeah, you could do this a lot of ways. So it's not for signing up, it's for logging in. All right, so that is MyWP login form from Agence Whodunit. All right, let's move on down to our group of block plugins this month. The first one is it's our own Gutenberg blocks by Kadence Blocks. This is the free Kadence Blocks plugin that was recently updated. Again, something we mentioned during the WordPress News Roundup, and I said I'd give it a more thorough demonstration here in the Plugin Roundup, and that is the new integration with Kadence blocks and Restrict Content Pro. So if you are a Kadence user and a Restrict Content Pro user, you'll really like this. This is super cool. So let's make sure I do not have Restrict Content Pro active, so let's activate that. And this is in the free version of Kadence blocks, the free one. You don't have to have the Pro version. This works with just the free Kadence blocks out of the box, and it does work here in the latest version of Kadence blocks. And let me actually just get to a page where I've got some content already. All right, so let's say, all right, here is our, we've got all these things, right? There's a bunch of Gutenberg type content here. Now, the Restrict Content Pro integration is, it only works on the Kadence row block. So the integration hasn't made it yet to the individual block level. It does work on the row, which generally speaking is going to be what you want anyway. And the reason for that is it works inside the row in the existing visibility settings. There's a new option there. So let me show you what this does, then I'll come back and answer some questions. So let's click on the row, make sure we have the row selected, and go here into our settings. All right, so we're in the Kadence row block, and if we scroll down here to visibility settings, there's now, see here, a toggle restrict based on membership. And so I can use access level if that's how you're doing membership, or I can select any membership or combination of memberships on the site, and you can continue to stack up different types of memberships here as you go. So with this, we've said only view this row if you are a member of the test membership. And what's really nice about this is now here at the top corner, you can see a little Restrict Content Pro logo to let you know that there are access-based restrictions based on something in Restrict Content Pro. So you get that nice little icon. So if we update this and view the page, this user I'm on does not have a test membership, so it doesn't show up. There you go. So it's really easy to use. All you have to do is go into your Kadence row settings, scroll down to visibility, and in addition to all these other ones that already existed, logged in, logged out, there's now this restrict based on membership. So scrolling up, Manu has a question. Is Restrict Content Pro a paid WordPress plugin? Yes. So well, there's a free and a paid version of Restrict Content Pro, and this works with either of them. Restrict Content Pro is an iThemes product, and yeah, it's part of your iThemes membership. If you have the plugin membership or the toolkit, it's part of that. It works great. I love it. I've been using it for many, many years, even prior to it being an iThemes product. So yeah, the two integrate very nicely here. So any other questions or comments about this? Works really well and makes it simple to integrate the two. And I think you'll continue to see integrations like this happening within iThemes products as well as in the larger Stellar WP family of products. All right, let's move on down the list to another block plugin. How many of you use the events calendar? This is the one from Modern Tribe. It's also now a Stellar WP family product. The events calendar, it's probably my default events calendar that I use. Here's a really cool block that gives you an event slider. So it pulls in events and it drops them in the slider, which you can scroll through. So let's just have a quick look. First of all, activating the events calendar plugin. We have an update available. Delightful. All right, so I have my events calendar plugin active, and I've gone ahead and put in a few test events. So there's just 4 events here that are just, blah, blah, blah. And they're March 1, 2, 3, and 4 scheduled out here. let me just get to a page where I can drop in that block. Of course, I'll need to activate the block first because that's how WordPress works. Slider add-ons. There. Let's activate that block. Good grief, things are slow today. Skip the freemius. All right. Now, let's refresh this page. Good grief. Okay. All right. Upcoming events. All right. So let's. All right. Event slider right there. And look at there. There they are. So how many events do we want to show at a time? I'm going to say 2. And how do we want to theme them? Is it a colored card? Is it a date at the top? Is it a single event? I'm going to do the date at the top. And I can change my color to something that's closer to what the site is. There's transition delay. You can start, go ahead and do an auto start the slider. And I'm just going to update that real quick and show you because that's really all it takes. And here's our nice event slider. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And of course, you click it and it goes to the single event page. So this is really cool. Very easy to use. It is nicely responsive as well. Look at that. And of course, if you're on a phone, that would swipe with your finger. Let's see. Stacy's asking, does this only work on blocks? Yeah, this is a block. This is a block. Now, if you're using a page builder, something like, if you're using Beaver Builder, for example, you can use the post slider module and pull in events from the events calendar with, just by specifying event type. But yeah, this is a block, and you see how easy that is. It just works right out of the box. So pretty cool stuff. Any questions or comments on that one that I missed? I like that one. All right, that was Slider Add-ons for Events Calendar by MyWpTrek. All right, moving down our list to, I believe, there's one, the third block plugin, and that is our Parallax Section block. Now, Kadence does give us the ability to have a parallax background. So let me just drop one of those in here real quick. Let's add a row. And if we go over here to background settings, let's make it a single. And let's just grab us an image. How about that? No, that's up and down. There we go. Let's make it a tiger. And let's see. We can have some things in here, a paragraph, for example, where we're there it is. It's typing. Now, in this row, we can, in our background settings, we can make this parallax if we want. And let's see, let me get some padding and margins. Let's do, in padding, let's make it like 200 on the top and 200 on the bottom so we can actually see what's going on. And we have parallax set. So when we take a look at this, now this is a good basic parallax row. What this plugin is going to give us is a parallax background with a little more fine-grained settings. So what I just showed you was what was in Kadence, and I did that to give you an example of Kadence has a very basic parallax background, but this plugin gives you some fine-grained options. So let's open up this Parallax Section. And let's put in another section right below this one. All right, so there's our Parallax section. And notice this drops in a whole bit of content here. So they're assuming you're going to use this as a hero, like a hero area. So we have a nice heading. We've got some text. We've got a background that you can see there. It previews with the Parallax settings. And look, you get a lot more options here than what you have with Kadence. So we can actually set the speed of how quickly, and notice you can just live preview what the speed looks like. So you can kind of get that right. That's kind of nice. You can actually set a minimum height here. So instead of having to do it with padding, you can say, I want the minimum height to be 500 pixels. We can also then set our padding this way, whether just top and bottom the same or individual left, right, up, down, and so forth. So very similar to the Kadence block, but more fine-grained control over how quickly you want the parallax to work, and it gives you a minimum height as well. So here's the page now, and notice this did take over a full width area. And there it is. So, and we can we can go back in here and edit our button. This is all just the standard buttons and headings and text. So there it is. That is Parallax Section Block from bPlugins. Question from Ben. Does the background zoom in or not? No. So Parallax just makes the background element scroll at a different speed than what's on top in the rest of the page. So zooming is a different effect that's not in this plugin. Any other questions on this one? That is the Parallax Section Block. In many cases, the Kadence block is all you need, but if you want something a little more fine-tuned, that's a great plugin to keep in mind. All right, next up, the final block plugin for this month is, this is a really interesting block. And I looked at this and I scratched my head a little bit on this one, and then it clicked where this could be useful. So this is called Super List Block by a really great developer, Aurooba Ahmed. She's been in WordPress for a long time, does a lot with WordCamps and so forth. She's a great person. And here is what she's just released. Now, if you use the block editor to do anything, I think you may be like me where it takes a minute to figure out what she's done here, but then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. So Super List Block. Let's go back and activate that. I need to go deactivate a bunch of stuff in a minute so we don't get any headbutting of plugins. All right, Super List Block. So let's get rid of some of these, some of the clutter here, just so I have. Okay, so let's drop in our Super List Block right in this spot. Okay, so what Super List Block lets us do is using the, for lack of a better word, the container of a list with different items that are blocked, for example, and rather than having to do things in columns, this list gives you the flexibility to have different types of blocks involved and style them similarly. So it's really hard to explain until you see it. So let me just add one. All right, super list right there. Okay, so notice we have a list started, right? And unlike a regular list that's just like a bulleted list, here we can put any block we want as that list item. So let's say we want first let's do an image. So let's put an image as this first list item. And the second list item, let's put, I don't know, an advanced heading. All right, now we got a couple things in here. So let's grab this list. All right, now what do we have here? Okay, currently it's an unordered list. It could be a bulleted list. It could also be, just with no marker at all. And, look, we can make it go this way. And, look, we can deal with some text. So we can make all the background colors this, or we could make all the text, some other color. We can like add another list item. So what this lets us do is start to stack up a bunch of content on a page of even different sorts and start to control it together as a list. Yeah, so the power of this one is you could make columns and just put individual things in a column, but when you put it inside of a super list, what it lets you do is control the styling of them sort of together. So, and I'm not doing a terrific job of explaining this. Charlie, could you use super list block inside of Kadence Elements? Sure, it's a block. Yeah, you could do in Kadence Elements. You can put any block that you want, and this would work in those as well. So perhaps if yes, there are examples. Thank you, Sue. So like here's an example, right, of items that have a heading and an image, or like this is a giant example that goes very quickly. It's really easy to move things around. So if you're trying to display a list of things, all of which might not have the same type of content, but that you want to be able to kind of style and deal with together and make responsive together, this is a great plugin to make a container around all those things. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to move on because I'm not doing a great job of explaining this one. It's a clever plugin from Aurooba. My own worst enemy, will it let you take the bullet off just the image? No, so it's a list, so it has to be dealt with, like the whole list has to be one thing or the other. All right. Next down the list, let's get into our first WooCommerce plugin of the month, and this is the First Order Coupon Manager for WooCommerce. So this is a simple plugin that brings a feature into WooCommerce that it's one of those that I think probably ought to be in core WooCommerce, and that is the ability to restrict a coupon to the first order that a user makes. So for example, if we go here under Marketing and Coupons, and we just take a look at one of these coupons here, and we move down to usage restriction. I mean, there's all sorts of options here, right? Like you have to spend this much, or you can't spend more than this, or if it can, it has to be used by itself, only for certain products, only for certain categories of products, only for one person's email address, for example. But one of those options that in core WooCommerce isn't only use this coupon if it's their first purchase. But think of the ability that this kind of a thing could bring. Like you advertise, like there's a Facebook ad or some, email marketing ad, and take, 30% off your first order with coupon, blah, 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 blah. And this allows WooCommerce to know, only apply this coupon if this is this user's first order. So let's go in and activate this plugin, which again is called the First Order Coupon Manager. And it just does a very simple thing. It adds a checkbox. So once we activate this coupon and we go back here to usage restriction and refresh, there is now a checkbox. Cannot be used after the first order. So with that box checked, that coupon can only apply if it's this person's first order. Now you can also say, it has to be your first order and you have to spend at least $50, right? So 30% off your first order of $50 or more, for example. So this is a super powerful plugin. It's simple. I don't know why it hasn't been used before, but it's really nice. I can see a lot of use for it. So Melanie's asking, does it track by email or address? So it's going to be the user. So it's probably going to use email. Yeah. So it's the email account. So obviously somebody could get around that if they, use a different email address. But I mean, at this point, it's really hard to get to be draconianly restrictive over when a coupon is used if it's out there. Yeah. So Tanya says she could have used this 6 months ago for a customer. Yeah, it's great. It's a simple plugin that does something very important. JJ, what about existing customers? Are they eligible when the plugin is activated? No, because they're an existing customer, right? They have an order already. So I would have to go in and look at the actual code of the plugin, but the way this is worded, if the coupon cannot be used after the first order, it's probably going to look to see, does this customer have an order in the database already? And if so, it's not going to allow the usage of the coupon. That's what I'm going to guess based on that wording. I'd have to look at the code. All right. Any other questions or comments on that one? I just find that to be a really handy plugin to stick in the toolbox because one day I'll have a great site that's going to need something like this. All right, so that is First Order Coupon Manager for WooCommerce by Ashraful Sarkar. Okay, moving down the list to another WooCommerce plugin, and that is the Floating Cart for WooCommerce. Now, the Kadence cart does a lot of cool things, but this cart UI is something that your customer might want. So, for example, have you seen, like the Shopify cart, for example, has an option to do this. You pull it up on your phone, and down at the bottom right, there's a little floating cart icon. And you click it, and the cart slides in, and it just feels very app-like, right? It's really slick. I like that a lot. So that's what this plugin is going to offer you. So let's go here, and let me see if I've got that cart. No. Okay. So in the Kadence cart, for example, you can set it to be an off-the-screen cart, which is really nice. If you've never done this before, it's super helpful. So in my cart, I can have it to be a pop-out cart that comes on from the right side. And so if I click it, whoop, it slides in the little tray. I like that a lot. So you can do that with Kadence, but this is our new floating cart down here. When we click this, it does something very similar, but we've got this nice floating cart icon that stays at the bottom. Now, it is controlled by the customizer. Let's see. Oh, it's right here at the top. Floating cart for WooCommerce. And you got a lot of options you can control. Like, are we going to show it on the checkout page or the cart page? It gives you the ability to translate. So, for example, we click this and there's quick cart. Have no products in the cart. So all of that is text that you should be able to. I don't see that text here, though. Interesting. I can call it WP Nathan cart. So we have control over a lot of the words that it shows. Where it's, the things that are visible in the cart. We've got the styling, the colors that are used, a lot of the borders and so forth. We've also got the cart icon itself down here. So if we want to make that a bright purple, we can do that, or whatever we want it to be. So you got a lot of control over it, and it's pretty light code-wise. It's not gigantic, so pretty decent little add-on. If you want something like this that sits down there at the bottom of your website. So pretty nice. That is Floating Cart for WooCommerce. Any questions or comments on that one? Okay, let's move on to the next plugin then. This is Media Library Recovery. This is this month's Toolbox plugin, and it's one that we actually used on a client project when we had some issues. I'm going to go through real quick and deactivate a bunch of things just in case. Okay, so have you ever had an issue where maybe you restored a backup or something happened to your database on a site and a bunch of the images that were in the media library are no longer showing up, right? It could even be that if you go look in the folders of WordPress, like the images are there, but they're not showing up in the media library. Has anybody had that trouble before? We had an issue like that where a database got corrupted. We lost some things. It was just a weird deal. And okay, so yeah, a lot of you are saying yes. It's really frustrating when that happens. So this is a plugin you're going to want to keep in your toolbox. It is called Media Library Recovery by Krasenslavlov and activate. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to go scan all the folders under my uploads directory and let me know. It's here under Media and Library Recovery. And look, all right, there are some media here. These that, let's see, I can hide the ones that are found in the media library. So the ones with the eyeball with the no line through it, these images actually exist in the folder structure, but they're not showing up in my media library. So I can say, I want that one, I want that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and hit recover media, and it just pulls them right into the database. Isn't that great? Super helpful. So if I go out there now, there they are. Now, here's something you need to be aware of. If they are broken images on a page, probably this is not going to restore that image onto the site because it's going to be looking for a different image ID. These images are, it's like what this plugin does basically, oh, here's some images that are on your server but aren't in the library. So we're basically kind of in the background going to re-upload all at once those images for you, and they're getting re-added to the media library with new media IDs. So you'll still have to go out and fix broken images, but at least you don't have to re-upload the images. So it saves a little bit of a step, and it doesn't. So Christine's asking, how does that happen? It doesn't happen often. It's usually some kind of database mishap. Yeah, we had a database issue that just caused some problems. Sue, is it for deleted images? No, because deleted images are deleted forever. Like if you delete an image in the media library, like here, and you say delete permanently, it pulls it off the server completely. So they're gone. Now there is a constant you can define in your WP config. It's like define media trash true, something like that. And that actually puts a trash intermediate step between, just like posts and pages have, between actually deleting an image and it being gone forever. So you can do that, but yeah, if you delete permanently, it's deleted, permanently. Sue says, if I migrate a site, then have to FTP images that do not appear in the media library, this fixes it. If those images are actually in the folder structure, yes. Like if they just have lost their registration in the media library, that's what this fixes. But if the images don't, like if your image.jpg doesn't exist in the media library folder structure, it's not going to find it. Yeah, it's really helpful. This is not something that happens a lot. Like this has maybe happened to me twice in all the years I've been working with WordPress. But this sure saves a lot of hassle if that ever does happen. So that is Media Library Recovery. Any other questions or comments on that one? Okay, scrolling on down to the next one. This is Custom Help by Kadence. So how many of you ever pay attention to this help drop down here? So WordPress has this really nice inline help tray that pulls down. Wouldn't it be nice sometimes to have your own stuff up there, whether it's for a client with steps how to do something, or maybe for yourself to remember steps how to do something. This plugin lets you add very easily custom help text wherever you want to add it. So let's activate this text, this plugin called Custom Help. All right. And I'm just going to use this, the plugins page for this. So I'm not sure how I ended up on that page. All right. So here is the help tray for the plugins. And I can go here to Custom Help. Look, oh, I can edit the documentation. This is my plugin list. All right. I'm going to send it, which is basically save it. And now it's there. So you could record process. You could write in lots of other things. Now, this is showing slightly differently to me because I'm an administrator. But you can put whatever you want to up there. And it does use markup. So if you're used to, or Markdown, if you're used to using Markdown, you can do that to get headings and so forth in there. Otherwise, HTML, I believe, works in here as well. Let's test that. Yeah, so HTML works. You can do some, you can put images in there. You could drop videos in there. You can do things like that as well. Yeah, you should be able to do images. Let's just grab one out of the media library just for the heck of it. Yeah, I mean, you'd want, obviously, not have a giant image there, but you got it. So I would like to have seen a WYSIWYG editor here, just like drop in the tiny MCE editor. That would have made things a little bit easier. But I mean, this is pretty good, and it's easy to do. And you know, especially if you need to leave yourself like dev notes on why things are what they are. This is a neat little way to do that. So that is Custom Help by Kadence. Any other questions or comments on that one? I'm going to delete all of this so I don't have this in my database forever once I delete this plugin. Oh, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same link. Yeah, so the URL is just going to be plugin/custom-help. It's the name of the plugin right there. Sorry, when I copied and pasted, I neglected to update the URL there. Or just search for, like, if you're going to add the plugin, the trick here is copy the plugin name and the byline together and drop that in the plugin search, and that will generally almost always come up with the right plugin. Okay, moving down the list. How many of you hate Google Maps? Embedding Google Maps on your site. Hasn't it gotten to be a pain? Like, especially when you have to, if it's a custom map and you have to add in an API key and all of that. Google Maps have become more and more difficult to use unless you're just taking the URL embed out of the raw Google Maps, and then you get all of Google's places and maybe even competitors next to them. Like, it's so complicated. I have become more and more of a fan of the OpenStreetMap. Open Maps are great. They're free, and their usage level is like 10 times what Google Maps is. It's really, really good. Google Maps does make the page slower, cheerily. Open Maps does too. It's a little bit lighter, I believe. But anyhow, Leaflet Map, that's what I'm getting to here. Leaflet Map is a Leaflet, let me start there, is a JavaScript library that makes it really easy to interact with maps like OpenStreetMap. And so this Leaflet Map plugin by Bozdaz brings in the Leaflet.js library and kind of puts a wrapper around it so you can do things easily with it in WordPress, like a short code, for example. So let's activate this and let me show you how it works. This is Leaflet Map. So let's close some tabs and go to a page. Yes, this page from earlier that had the shortcodes there. All right, so yes, let me get rid of some of this. Okay, so let's do this. Leaflet Map. And I've given you some shortcode options. There's a lot more, like, and you can continue to stack these arguments in the shortcode. But I'm just going to do an address. Sylvania. Did I not spell that right? All right, so this is the address of the White House. Zoom equals 5, and then width and height. I believe it's just width equals 500. Height equals 500. So let's see if I blow anything up there. Okay, that didn't work. Not sure why. Let's grab the whole address. Let's take the zoom out just for a second. All right, we need a higher zoom. Set zoom to 15. Let's try that. There we go. Now, there are some settings for this plugin, which is located down here under leaflet map, where you can set your defaults, your default zoom. So we could set this zoom for 15 if we wanted to. So there's our default height and width. Make that whatever you want. Fit bounds means that if you have a map with multiple markers, it'll size the map to stay, keep all of those in. Now notice here, and you can turn these on by default. So for example, I'm going to turn that on by default. If I have multiple markers set in a map, I automatically want it to size correctly. I do want to show zoom controls. I do not want the scroll wheel zoom. That annoys me. I do like the double click to zoom. Minimum, maximum zoom, blah, 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 blah. Okay, save and update. Okay, so now we should be able to, yeah, look at that. See, now we can look around and do many things. We can zoom out this way. Yeah. So I like this. Leaflet is this layover that lets you pull in OpenStreetMaps. And here's, for example, these other two things here. So if we add, this is what's cool. In order to, like on a Google map, in order to get multiple markers on a map, it's complicated. And sometimes you have to even have an API key for that. All you have to do here is you've got your primary leaflet map shortcode here and stack these leaflet markers below it. And it just keeps adding pins on the map. So let's actually do this to keep things, let's do New York, and then New York and Philadelphia. So if we do that, look, now we get our, it didn't get the Washington one, though. I'm not sure what that's about. Oh, maybe, you know what? If we have different, I bet we have, it's not going to listen to this address. I bet we have to have another marker address in there if we have different ones. Yeah, so see how that works? Pretty cool. Really easy to do, especially when you're stacking markers. You're literally just listing things. So that is leaflet map. Any other questions or comments on that one? Pretty cool. Christine, can you do a street address? Sure. I just did right here with the White House. Right there it is. Now it does have, if I go back to shortcode helper, underneath leaflet map over here in the admin, Good grief, things are slow today. So look here, we can actually, it gives you options to build shortcodes. Ooh, that's kind of cool. There are different skins you can use. I haven't gotten into this detail yet. Oh, look at that. See, I missed this. I didn't get this far when I was looking at this plugin. There's all sorts of cool things. Oh, look, you can set a max bound so you can't get bigger than the boundary area that you set. Oh, this is super cool. This is super cool. Like you can draw polygons. Oh, I like this a lot. Yeah, this deserves some more attention. And Leaflet Maps does have skins that you can lay over to style the coloring of the map. Anyway, yeah, nifty. So that's Leaflet Map. That's as far as I'm going to go today because lots of things. Does this have a block? I don't know. I don't think so. No, no block. Shortcode only. I would imagine that a block might be coming. Okay, last but not least is Vimeo by Vimeo. Who's heard of Vimeo? Any Vimeo users out there? I certainly am. Now, this violates one of the rules we typically have for plugins. In other words, if all the plugin does is it just pulls in an external thing to use inside WordPress, we don't usually do those in plugin roundups. However, this does that and some more things. Okay, so while this technically might hit one of those criteria that weeds out plugins, this does enough that I think you'll like it. And also, I know a lot of you use Vimeo for your own business and for clients, and you'll like this a lot. How many of you have heard of Vimeo Create? And Ben has the question of the day. Why use this plugin instead of the WordPress block for Vimeo? Because this doesn't just embed a video. This is about Vimeo Create. So Vimeo Create, how many of you have ever used like Canva and the UI that Canva has to make graphics and things? Vimeo Create is kind of like Canva, but it lets you create video content, and it's super cool. And if you have a Vimeo membership, it's already built in, and if you're not using it, you should probably dive into it and take a look. Now, what this does is it brings Vimeo Create into WordPress, okay? Let me show you what I mean. Let's say we want to have one of our posts here. Let's add some video content into one of our posts. And oh, I didn't activate the plugin. See, lesson number 1 is always activate the plugin. Just testing you. Yes. So you must always activate the plugin in order for the plugin to be active. That's the biggest takeaway from today. And we wait. And we wait. And there it is. Okay. Okay, so this is the blue V Vimeo. This is the built-in WordPress that just basically embeds a Vimeo video, right? Easy peasy. Like you click that, drop in the video URL, the video appears. That is not what we want. We don't care about that. What we do want is Vimeo upload and create. All right. Oh, I didn't connect it. One moment, please, while I access your account. And, oh, you know what? I'm not logged in on this browser. That's why. I'm in a different profile for webinars. Give me just a moment, and I shall log in. See if that worked. Doggone it. Okay, I'm going to have to put in my activation key. I thought I already did that. All right, I got to re-get my activation key. Just a minute. All I'm doing, I'm clicking on Vimeo, authorize, copy the code, paste it back in. Super easy to do. Save changes. I should now be authenticated. And I am. Okay, now that we have that taken care of, let me go back to the posts. It's good to be authenticated. And literally that was like, click the link, it goes to Vimeo, authorize, copy the code, paste the code, hit the button, and you're done. Easy to do. All right. I just don't want you to see my code because you people are hacky hackers and you'll steal all of my things. All right. So Vimeo, upload and create. Boom. Here we go. So we could, now with this, like you could do videos. I don't want to show you my video library, but like this would let you, it would pop up in a window and let you view Vimeo videos that are in your library to pull in. See, that's kind of cool, right? Now that's nice, but I can upload a video. Like I can actually from here, if I want, upload a video, which would go into Vimeo and then embed into the website. So that's helpful, right? That's pretty cool. But what if we just want to create a new video? This is where we open up the Vimeo Create interface. And we have all these templates. And what I'm going to use here is one of these guided templates because they are super cool. So let's say I want a Facebook ad. And I want to customize. There we go. So what's the brand name? What's the product name? I don't know. And next, product's main benefit, webinars are awesome. Next, what should they do now? Our call to action. Let's, I don't know, contact us, whatever. Terrible call to action. Oh, we can add some photos and videos. So I can actually upload right to here. I'm just going to pick a couple of these, which I'm going to use again in just a minute. Next, customize my colors. You can do all of that. Find whatever colors you want. Pick a font that you want. Add your logo. Preview the video. So right here, inside of WordPress, it is building this little video. And we wait. And we wait. And we wait. It just takes a second. It's really like less than a minute. And we're waiting. Somebody play the Jeopardy theme again. We're waiting. It's coming. Everything's slower now because we're on a live webinar for whatever reason. Hey, almost done. Rendering. It even puts background music in the background. Okay, so here it is. Look at that. I don't know if you can hear that music or not. All right, now look, we can actually edit this if we want, and it gives us the panels where we can type in and edit the text and do whatever we want. And boom, it's there. So we'll save it in preview. Come on. This is going to take forever. So while it's doing its thing, here's where it gets even funner. Maybe you've got a WooCommerce store. Wouldn't it be nice to have a product video? Oh, yes, it would. Absolutely, it would. So let's go here to our t-shirt product and look down here. Oh, look, I made a video the same way, and it's now, it appears here. Like all I did before. That's really loud. I don't know if y'all can hear that. That was really loud. So before, I want to show you this, but before this video wasn't there, I just clicked create product video, went through the same steps I just showed you, and hit the button to save, and look at this product now. So here's my t-shirt product. It's got doom, and look. Oh, I deleted the video. I deleted it. Bummer. It showed a video, but I forgot I deleted it after I finished it. Doesn't that stink? Let's embed this. So that the video I just worked on in the other tab It's embedded on the page. Right there it is. And you can, by the way, in that same UI, remove all these titles and stuff. We can do the same thing here. I'm just going to run through this again because the way this looks is super cool. Create a product video. And I'm actually just going to grab, I wonder if I can import it. Just a minute. Let me see. Add video. Yes. I'm going to pull in the video that we just did, just so you can see what it looks like on the product. Everything is slow right now, and I don't know why. Okay, there it is. Next. Yeah, so here we can say I want it to autoplay, pause. I can turn off all the Vimeo garbage, embed. Okay, now I've got my video here. Let me save this so you can see what it looks like. Boom, right there. There's a video, and you can play it from right here in the product area. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So add your own little product videos right there. And you know, it doesn't have to be that wacky, crazy, Saved by the Bell sort of styling, but you know, you can just have, it could, like, you could even, it allows you to bring in existing videos into that create editor. So it could be like a product demo video of here's somebody using the product and doing whatever, you know, with the product. It's really cool. All right, a bunch of questions here. Ben, does the video live on Vimeo? Yes. So this is pulling in Vimeo, a Vimeo video that lives in your account. Yeah, so it's using Vimeo Create within WordPress to create a video that lives on Vimeo and then import the content back into WordPress. Girl who can't type, do you need a Vimeo Pro account or is this in the free account? No, I think this requires the Pro account. I'm not sure about that, but I would imagine that it does. JJ, page load impact having a video on the site versus off-site. So that's a great question. I don't know if this is lazy loaded or not. I would imagine that it is. We'd have to get into the code to see that, JJ. A page with video is obviously heavier than a page without, unless the video is lazy loaded. So because this, I don't know with it being in the little gallery here, if that's lazy loaded or not. I'm going to think probably it is. Let's see. My own worst enemy. Yes, the video is stored on Vimeo. Oh, Jesse has some information on the pricing for Vimeo Create. So it looks like yeah, I'm in the Pro plan and I get access to it in the Pro plan, so Dave, do you have time for a quick why use Vimeo over YouTube comment if you don't care about privacy? So yeah, it's a great little discussion, and we're already 10 minutes late. And all I'll say is this: the reason I don't like Vimeo for business, that I don't like YouTube for business sites like embedding, is it gives you difficult. Like oftentimes they're going to suggest videos at the end, and you know you could have you don't have as much control over the content. That being said, sometimes it just doesn't matter. So, for these product type videos, I think you could push this video over to YouTube if you wanted to, just to get some more SEO juice. Okay, well, we need to start wrapping it up here. It's been a lot of stuff that we've covered. That brings us to the end and time for the final question. What was your favorite plugin of the roundup? One vote only, please. Girl who can't type votes for leaflet map, leaflet, another leaflet, Vimeo, leaflet, many leaflets, many leaflets. So many leaflets. Custom help. One vote for custom help. All right. Anybody else? Laggering votes. Anybody lagging? Woo Coupon. Honorable mentions, custom help, and Woo Coupon. But the winner by far is Leaflet Map, like by far, with Vimeo a runner up. So those are our two top plugins of the month. Let me show you real quick what's happening the rest of this week on iThemes training. Tomorrow we have a Kadence webinar. Ben Rittner is going to be with us. So Ben is, of course, the founder of Kadence, the developer in chief, and all of those things. He's going to be talking about using Kadence with WooCommerce and some of the cool stuff that's going on there. Also, because it's your opportunity to ask anything from the guy who's running the show and see what's coming in Kadence, ask your questions, make your feature requests, and so on. So be sure, if you have not yet signed up for this one, that you do so. And, of course, office hours on Thursday, 1 o'clock. Go ahead and get your questions in for that. We've been running out of time lately. There were 6 or 7 questions still left over from last time. So, for sure, if you have a question, you haven't gotten it in for office hours this week, make sure you ask that today just to make sure we get it in for this roundup. All right, well, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have a great rest of the afternoon. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. for the Kadence WooCommerce webinar here on iThemes Training, where we go further together.